Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. When the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 27th. It's a Monday. We had an interesting week last week. This should be an interesting week. This week, coming into the end of the month. So, let's see what we got. I mean, not a whole lot on the news front. Well, no, I take that back. The Republicans are supposed to be releasing their coronavirus package today. It's supposed to be another $1 trillion stimulus. It's supposed to include payments. It's supposed to include rent cancellation moratoriums and unemployment extensions at 75%. I'm not so sure that, well, how do I say this? There's probably going to be a lot of fighting over it. So we could have some drama this week. And there's some second wave concerns in Europe, just like we said there would be, isn't there? All right. So, also, today I have another video coming out. Watching this on replay or whatever, comes out 9:30 Eastern time today. So go and give that video a look. It is about trading fast markets. So to the chart now. And come over here. So again, in the ES, it was a volatile week, but at Friday it was down overnight. But overall, it was fairly calm, and we didn't quite bust down the bottom side of this over here. Hold on a second. Squawk is telling me something. We do have some news coming up. We'll talk about that in a second. Anyways, we didn't bust through the bottom of this range, so, and we actually are a little bit higher now today. Treasuries, though, treasuries continue to stay somewhat elevated here. I mean, it's a really slow and steady uptrend, but it's there. Oil moving up again today, along with the equities, and gold continues. I mean, really, the move in gold is starting to become really impressive. Although today might be a day where they might, pull back a little bit. Just come and check the curve a little bit. Do see a little bit of flattening still. Cool. All right. I'll bring this over to here. Not any significant volume overnight. In fact, this is very, very quiet overnight. Let me look here. Not anything more than 1,000. So pretty quiet overnight. All right, so let's start the text-to-speech first. By the way, do I sound okay? I'm not sure. I'm done the. It sounds different to me up in here. I'm like, is that okay? Maybe I just need to increase my. There we go. Increase my volume a little bit. We'll move over here. Okay, Vlad says that it's good. All right. Oh yes, we missed the dollar index. Dollar index is 93.64. So the dollar continues to get just obliterated. You sound like an old woman. Wait, we can read that one out.
Uzi Knesset says you sound like a 65-year-old woman, but other than that, loud and clear, tongue out.
Okay, so let's get the news out of the way here first. So we do have, let's see here, core durable goods orders is
Anthony
coming
Monroe
up.
says good morning, Seth.
Hey, how are you, Anthony? Morning. Durable goods orders, ex transportation, we're looking for 3.5%. And the overall number 7.2% versus previous of 15.8. Wow, it's a lot higher when you include transportation items. But I think that's because vehicles have been doing relatively well. Couple more quarantines for British people returning from foreign countries. Euro USD spike coincided with the ECB fixing hour, but Euro still in demand, still through the crosses. Not sure how deep this can retrace US durables out in a few minutes. That was a pretty okay move up in the Euro, but it's really across the board. The dollar is just getting creamed. I suppose that's good for US equities, but at some point that's going to stop being a good thing. At some point. And then once we're done with all of this, we've got to make some changes to our charts because I think that my changes to
Vlad Stolyarov says dollar index need to hit extreme yaw.
I think that my changes to our cost basis indicator.
Vlad Stolyarov says then bounce to 95 or near and sell off again.
You think so? Well, I'm just, I knew that the dollar index was going to move. I didn't necessarily realize that it would be so fast. I guess I can't really say that I didn't realize that because it's not really something that I really, really pay attention to. But again, it's pretty. Oh, we need to come over here to the main chart. It's pretty crazy. So. The number is mostly in line. 7.3 versus 7.2. I don't see a whole lot of movement or excitement off of that, so they might turn around and start doing something from here, but I'm not super interested in it. Although one thing I will say is I'm a little so given that news is not really all that important now. I think that the big thing going forward is going to be the reaction to the Republican bill. And that's not.
Anthony Monroe says Bitcoin is heating up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I missed out that. I missed to mention that Bitcoin is up above 10,000 today. So I mentioned, and if you subscribe to the Patreon and we post the cryptocurrency notes, one of the things I highlighted is that this is a weekend where you're likely to see them try and do something fishy. And sure enough, they pumped it over the weekend. Now, the issue is that, again, it's very difficult for them to maintain these levels. But yeah, it was a pretty good move. I suppose that given how strong Ethereum has been, that you were going to have to see something in Bitcoin at some point eventually. But I continue to be uninterested.
It was quite low volume until it got 10K, so not many sellers on weekend.
Yeah. No, they totally take advantage of the weekend to move price. Absolutely. Look a little bit too bright. Let's fix that. It should be more like 15. There we go. They really it's kind of a sketchy thing. Like that's the problem is when it makes a new high on low volume or over the week when nobody is paying attention, does it really interest you? Well, and Bitcoin it does. So I don't know. But for me, the valuation continues to be a problem. Okay, so let's fix up some of our charts here, huh? I'm just going to bring my a new 10-year chart over here. And I don't know, man. Some of these.
Anthony Monroe says Ethereum is up plus 38%. DeFi woke up the cryptos.
Oh. This resting orders one has turned out to be pretty much the same thing as the regular level 2 and not all that interesting to me. As the largest orders stuff is a little interesting, but I don't know. I'm thinking, well,
Sunday Driver says hello. How are my gold and silver bugs this morning?
oh, I bet you they're very quite happy, huh? So let's get rid of this one and this one. And then we're going to come in and we're going to put my new inventory cost basis on there. And I'm just going to confirm that it looks the same. Okay, it doesn't work. Oh, and I'm getting a lot of this should never happen. What the hell?
Anthony Monroe says Don T miss the boat Seth. Defi is really hot.
Meh. The thing is that I'm sure that individual coins can go up, but that's not necessarily something that I'm going to play very effectively like that. I have an easy way to value what a new, what's going to be the new hype. You just end up chasing the hype, and I'm not super into that. I need to see the cryptocurrency space as a whole become more valuable, and I'm just not seeing that right now.
Vlad Stolyarov says I kinda don't want to trade the open, which I usually avoid anyway, when stuff gaps on news that was kinda planned.
Yeah, so do you mean the Republican bill? Yeah, but the thing though is that that it's going to be positive. Well, they're selling right now, but if new stimulus is coming, it's probably going to be relatively positive sentiment. So it's kind of hard to sell it. But we'll see what they do.
Vlad Stolyarov says it might just chop until meeting gets productive results.
Oh, that is curious. Maybe it's not compiled or something. Let's try that. No change. That's so weird because it was working just fine.
Vlad Stolyarov says they played with mRNA stock too.
Moderna. Zero hedge, the slow, painful death of hedge funds. Look at that in a second. I'm really.
Vlad Stolyarov says so people get excited about vaccine old news.
Is it? Oh, it is on there. It is working. I'm missing something. Duh, I should just make the cumulative thing the default option because that's what I always like to use. Aha. So it does work. Now I get this thing. I think that I should turn off the auto scaling on it. So are you watching this Uzi now?
Uzi Knesset says I am.
Okay, so let's just first let me really quickly verify that it is showing the same thing. Okay, yeah, it is. So the change that I have made is that it's now keeping track of what the inventory is and the estimated profit. So there are actually new series that I can add on here. So I can come back in and let's just let's get rid of this for now so that I can add these. So I'm going to add it 2 more times. And cumulative, and I'm going to call this one inventory. And I'm going to change which ones I'm showing, right? So here's the cost basis and the break-even lines, and I'm just going to get rid of those by making them transparent. 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 And then I'm going to make this one, oh, this one is inventory, so let's inventory long, inventory short. And on this one, we'll do the same thing, but this will be profits long, profits short. Get rid of the rest of these. Transparent. Transparent, and then make sure that they're both set to cumulative. And this one is profits. Okay. Cumulative, cumulative, cumulative. Okay. Now it's going to put these series up here, so I got to drag them down. Like that. Perfect. Okay, so now I can detect significant increases in inventory. So for instance, we can see here that they weren't really taking on many more shorts until we got up to here, and then they started doing that. And now they're doing the same thing with the longs. They don't seem to be very interested in new longs. But we're kind of like in a milling area where it's equal in the spread. Anyways, so that's what I wanted to show you. Did that all make sense? So I think that I will replace my old chart with this.
Uzi Knesset says yepers.
And then I'll export it for you, Uzi. Uzi's the guy that's been testing this for us. And I think, yeah, I don't know. I think that we need to work on making this public. I'm not 100% sure if my profits and inventory calculations are accurate, but it's looking good so far. But I think that we have to make sure that we don't get any bugs, don't get anything in the output window, and then we can start putting it out. So let's save this as
Vlad Stolyarov says no reason to get short S until 3188, 3190 break, otherwise I predict green day with chop.
Cool. All right, so now let's export it. Export NinjaScript add-on. Export as a. Oh, that's right. I can't do that. I need to buy it. Okay. Export. Oh, what was I calling it? Level 2 suite. There it is. Save. Yes. Okay. And where are you over here on Discord? I can't remember what your name was. Maybe you're just further down. There you are. You are just further down the list than I thought. Man, whenever I go back through with the private messages, you forget how many private messages you get. Sometimes it gets really crazy. All right. So there's that. So you should be able to keep your existing one that you already have. And then this will create a new one that's in the speculator set directory. Just in case there's something funky about it or something that we don't expect. Okay, so now that we've got that, Vlad was saying 3188 to 3190. Well, I do see the
Uzi
the
Knesset says
buyers.
KK, gimme 1 second.
Gotcha. The buyers have definitely been in control. There's a possibility for them to fall down, but it seems like quite a ways down there. Like they'd have to lose a good 15 points here. But they're making a good move. They're making a good move towards it. That's a political cartoon that's going to have an impact. Because they're acting up again. Relax, it's just a peaceful protest.
Uzi Knesset says this one I just import through NT. No copy pasta process? Vlad Stolyarov says but for bears will paint head and shoulder and break under it technical pattern. Vlad Stolyarov says still 50-50 if bulls get trapped.
I guess it's kind of a triple top, but I don't know. I'm looking over here on the treasuries, and the buyers do seem to have the advantage. But it seems to me that shorts are acquiring inventory against it. Though you can see there at 22, a decent number of contracts being absorbed. So it's kind of a tough call. The thing is that there might be plenty of guys that need to go short and go against the grain here, So not too sure if we can read too much into that, given the time of month and everything else. So breaking clashes have broken out between Hezbollah and Israeli forces on the Israeli-Lebanon border. Ooh. It's been a really long time since I've seen like a really serious battle over in Israel, but this sounds like this could be significant. when I look at the E-mini, it's kind of a tough call because I kind of felt like that some of the action towards the later end of the week was left us a little overvalued. But how do I go short when they're releasing a stimulus package in the Senate? Well, one case that you might be able to make is that this stimulus package isn't very good, or that it's not going to pass. That is definitely one that
Vlad Stolyarov says yeah.
Overall, though, I
Vlad
feel like
Stolyarov says playing with time and Fed.
yeah, totally. Well, markets are probably. Oh man, this is tough. The when we get into the September timeframe, there is some real seasonality and the election and all of these sorts of things that is going to make it a real mess in that time period. Whereas right now, late July and moving into August, it's kind of like things tend to just go nowhere in this time of year. I think I need to blow my nose. I don't have a Kleenex here, so I'm going to go grab a Kleenex. Okay, just coming out over the squawk here, I'm hearing that Trump's National Security Advisor O'Brien has coronavirus. Somebody in Igor did. Igor posted that headline in there, and that almost as quickly as I heard it on the squawk. Is he using a Bloomberg terminal there? Oh, it is a Bloomberg terminal. Well, market doesn't seem to really be reacting to that. Do we consider that significant? Oh, that's tough. I don't think we do, but Oh, my. Breaking: Google will keep its employees home until July 2021. People familiar with the matter said, making it the first major U.S. corporation to formalize such an extended timetable in the
Uzi
face of
Knesset says
coronavirus
looking at
pandemic.
the
Wagger's like, it's pretty great at Bloomberg Terminal. I'm sure it is. I read a really good story from somebody where they said, they had tried a bunch of different things and they weren't having success. And this was a guy that like they basically skipped college and like were all in on
Uzi
trading.
Knesset says PTO fits portion of the indicator. It's interesting that the seller profit is higher when the market trends up than the buyer's profits.
Oh yeah, you're totally right.
Sunday
That's
Driver says, did you hear about that Google engineer who got arrested in the Portland riots?
oh, I
Lol.
didn't hear about that. Yeah, Uzi, that's why I'm like I'm not 100% sure if it's accurate. Like, so I tell you what, if I can pontificate, vent for a little bit. When I was going through it and I was making it, I made so many mistakes. One of the mistakes that I made was that, the way that I determine what you have as inventory is when there's a match. But what I was doing was I was looking at what the difference between the two comparisons were. And that's not what actually matches. Matches is the lesser of the two. So that had a really big change. And once I fixed that bug, then I started to vote narrow in on something that seemed to work. And it does seem to do what I would expect on a lot of things. For instance, that your profits and losses are going to get further and further away as the day goes on, which kind of suggests that there might be some times when you want to reset it. But the one of the things that's the most curious to me is that it's not necessarily the direction of the trend that ends up being the guy that's winning on the profits thing. Right now, the seller has made more money than the buyer on our indicator. And that suggests to me that even though there has been more upside profit, the seller was using more contracts. That's what it suggests. Although the number that we've got right now for profits is pretty small. Because that's not in dollars, that's in points. So you'd have to times that by 1,000 essentially. So 2,556 times 1,000 becomes 2,556,000, right? So the dude has a common cold, big deal. Mm-hmm. Anyways, it seems like it should be possible that can happen, but at the same time, I'm a little like unsure about things. Another thing that I'm unsure about is that like on the profits, um, shouldn't ever go down, should it? Because you're basically assuming that the guy that's winning never loses. I don't know. I'm not quite sure I get how I ended up with some situations where the profits goes down. So I need to continue looking at the code for it because don't know. It's a really, really complicated thing. That's the algorithm for it is pretty messy. I mean, like the main algorithm for it is like what, 200 lines of code, 300 lines of code. Starting from here, line 150 to line 350. So it's 200 lines of code. It's big enough that I am considering consolidating, splitting parts out. Splitting the for each loop part out in particular. About 15.6 million homeowners, or 30% of those with a mortgage, could lower their monthly payment by $300 if they refinance. Yep, that's pretty much what happened to me. All of Sorrow was a big deal mostly because so many people hate that dude. There's always one of you lamb brains around that believes everything CNN says. While it's over-sensationalized for sure, it's definitely not a common coup. Advanced flu, yes, and it has its own marketing department. That's funny.
Uzi Knesset says okay, I have it set up. Cost basis on price window, profits in a sub panel, contracts in another sub window.
Right.
Rackley 3 says China ordered facility shut in retaliation for Houston consulate closure, amid rising tensions with U.S.
And then
Rackley
I should point
3
out
says might be important.
that there's those additional lines. I forget what I called them, but there's those additional lines that are supposed to be where one guy starts losing, money. And I've found they can ride that for quite some time, but that it also tends to clip and stop them, as you can see, as it did at 5 a.m. Eastern time. But facility shut down. Oh, yes. Well, they shut down their facility in some city that I've literally never heard of before, and I don't know what that's all about. Audio recap: US dollar inching closer to recovery phase? Oh, okay. Orders for US capital core goods are now less than 4% below the pre-COVID level. The crash in quarter 2 GDP is mostly a consumer story in contrast to 2008. Okay, so now I'm hearing about explosions in Israel. Don't know if that's a big deal. I have to go and look into, well, let's do it. So my next question is, what does it look like in E-mini? Because I remember looking at it the other day and thinking that it was a real mess.
Sunday Driver says what the heck, let's just start a land war in Asia.
Right. Oh no, it didn't. It's not working. Wait, did I do it wrong? You're gonna tell me I'm wrong? Oh boy. How do you explain that one? Did it just not actually compute? Weird. Clearly, even on just my own machine, there's still some bugs to work out. Why is it all of a sudden it's not work over on this chart? There must be... It's not even computing a value, maybe? I don't know. Hem. Reload historical data, maybe?
Sunday Driver says a land war in Asia would make my gold and silver shoot to the moon.
Yes, probably. What the hell? What did I do? Error calling on state change. What? Time to pull out the debugger, I think. Wait, why does it say it's calculating again? I might have broken something. It might have been something, a different indicator. We'll just leave it alone for a while. Sometimes I've had some of these, when it starts processing them, it takes forever. So, but it had loaded the data. Why is it redoing it again? It's kind of weird. Can you get it to work on the E-mini Uzi?
Uzi Knesset says hang on, I just got it all on ZB. Let me try.
Well, it worked on ZB, that's good. It's so dependent on the volume of the bar.
Uzi Knesset says tick replay on S is like Windows 95 shit for me, haha.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's probably a good point. I'm going to give it till 7:10. It may just be frozen. Because it gave me an error on state change, which is really, really unexpected. Weird and unexpected. And you can see that my e-mini data is frozen as well. 60 seconds, and then I'm gonna kill you, Ninja Trader.
Uzi Knesset says it's calculate and lol.
Right. It is not a light calculation. Oh. It loaded. So you have saved yourself from end task this time, Emini. This time. What the heck is that? I'm gonna add auto skill on this and see what it does.
Andy A says Seth, do you simply keep Jigsaw for its order flow? Uzi Knesset says I think it's more the tick replay than the indicator, lol. It loads like a champ on ZB.
Well, the main reason that I use Jigsaw is for the DOM itself. You got to keep in mind that the main thing that you're looking at here is where the liquidity is hitting at and what is the best price to get filled at. And I don't particularly find the individual patterns that I will notice in the level 2 to be hugely predictive. I think that it's really tempting to try and use order flow on the DOM like technical analysis by going through and doing a test and seeing what the behavior is and determining if there's some sort of an edge in there in it. But I don't think it's there. That's just technical analysis, and technical analysis by its very nature, it doesn't work. You might be able to find temporary edge in it, but overall, it's not going to work because past performance is not indicative of future results, right? So the real power in Jigsaw is the execution, and there's just nothing better that has a better setup in terms of how you execute. Now, they are coming out with charts, but I don't know if we're going to even be able to use the charts, because they were saying that if you are using the bridge that you won't be able to use the charts. So I think that we're just not going to be able to use
says
any
understood.
charts. Yeah. So now that it is giving me an error on min-max, that means that I have a bug. That means that I have a bug.
Uzi Knesset says holy schnickies still calculating.
Now it's really confusing to me that it would be... Hold on. Okay, I think I know what I gotta do to debug this. If yeah, let's go with that. Oops, wrong direction.
Live Action says I think finding the fastest data feed for your ladder is important too. Any suggestions here?
Well, if you want the fastest data, then you want to go with trading technologies. Trading technologies gives you a lot more smooth and fast data, right? Oh, Live Action asked that question. Oh, you've been around when we've gone through that sort of, when we've tested that sort of thing. Oh, yeah.
Uzi Knesset says you got it to work on S, right?
No, I didn't. Not my new one. The old one does, but not the new one.
Live Action says if I remember correctly, TT was not working at its best in Sim. KR says does that Yoda back there whisper stock tips?
No, he does not. I would hope not. So my little sister died recently. She committed suicide, and she was absolutely obsessed with Baby Yoda. All she would do was post Baby Yoda memes on Facebook. And when we were having like our baby shower, she got us that Baby Yoda paper cutout for the shower. Oh, man, it looks so good on stream. You wouldn't even know that it was a cardboard cutout, huh? Anyways, so if it started whispering stock tips to me, I would think my first thought would be that it's possessed by my little sister. So let's I hope that doesn't happen.
KR says I thought it was a doll.
No, it's a cardboard cutout. Isn't that hilarious? They do a good job. It's a good print. The funny thing is that I've had it out back there in the background.
Sunday Driver says buy gold. You will.
You will. I've had it in the background there for a long time, but it's usually been like a lot further back there, and you would never note it. You would never notice it. So now I've got, I put him in a place where you guys couldn't miss him. All right, let's try this again. So if I do it that way, will it actually calculate it? No, it doesn't. So that is concerning. Oh. Wait, how is that? How is that? Oh, it's doing something really messed up in the e-mini. Because it's telling me that the...
Uzi Knesset says I had to terminate. Everything went frosty lol.
Yeah. Yeah, hold off, Uzi. There's something else is wrong. It's broken on the e-mini. Why would that be? Okay, we're gonna have to debug. It's getting to the bottom, and it always thinks that the volume is 0 in ES. What? How is that possible? Is it just a bug with the NinjaTrader data? Because how can that be? How can that be? This is where I'm starting to get frustrated. I'm starting to feel like I might have to make my own platform. I know that sounds crazy, but like to do basically the cost basis. So one of the issues that I have in this is I have to add the indicator 3 times to show all of this stuff, because you can't have something that plots both on price and in a subplot. And trying to do a singleton so that they share data is a little bit crazy too, right? Because you're going to have 3 indicators. They're all going to call the on market data. And then you would have to have some mechanism in there that is thread safe to say only do it on the first one, and the other 2 just reference what they were getting from the other one. And that's some complicated stuff. All because you're not allowed to have an indicator that plots both on the primary series and on the subseries. Another issue is that market by order data would be useful. If you just assume that stops are people getting out, then you could get a more accurate accounting of, well, you would be able to estimate losses, and then you should be able to get a better estimate of what the current inventory and profits are, right? And even cost basis, you'd get a more accurate cost basis. But none of the platforms that I'm working with have the market by order data nor do I know how to detect stops. So it's like, do I need to just make my own platform where I can like tie directly into this data, you know? Anyways. Debug, attach the process. Okay. How is that possible? I get nothing. I get nothing. I get nothing. It's not. There's no data anywhere in anything. Okay. And not on any bars either.
Andy A says data chops on both JS and NT.
Well, to properly debug the problem that I'm having in the E-mini right now, I would have to shut down all of my workspaces. Not really willing to do that right now, so. So this is a really bizarre bug, is all we can really say. I'm going to close that. so weird because it was working on the E-mini the other day too. It must be something to do with the data. It must be like that my well, I don't know.
Uzi
But then why
Knesset
does it
says
work
Seth
on this
gonna
one?
straight up build his own platform. Astonished face.
Right. The problem, the thing that scares me about it is like I'm sure that making your own charts from scratch is not a simple thing, you know? Now, if it's just a platform that just I use, then maybe it's not a huge deal, but you know that at some point, if you're going to put that much effort into it, I think that you would want to sell it, you know? I don't know. So I was talking about getting the, like I would like to get my inventory stuff into Jigsaw, but I just don't see that happening. Like I was talking to Pete about it, and he didn't sound too interested in adding, you know, people say, "Oh, I want this indicator and this indicator," and he didn't want it. Like I mentioned the super smoother, and he's like, "Oh, all of Euler's stuff is junk." I was like, "Okay, but I really like the super smoother. Like I think it's a really good moving average. Do you have a moving average? Because if you have a moving average, I think that you should have super smoother." But it was like you just mentioned the name Euler, and he was like, "No." So then it's like, okay, well, I'm not just gonna straight up give you this algorithm that I've written. I put a lot of effort into that. I'm not just gonna give it away. So how's that gonna work? No, it's not gonna work. And it will benefit from market by order data. And Jigsaw is convinced that market by order data is useless. So what do you do? Well, wait for, NinjaTrader doesn't have it either. I guess you could go over to Bookmap. I haven't really tried programming on Bookmap. That might be one to look into. But as I see it right now, it's either that or get a subscription to Rhythmic API and build the platform from C# by scratch yourself, which is just like scary. And like the DOM part too, because I've dealt with grids in C#. Okay, it's ugly stuff. I might be able to do it part, like I could use the C#. Yeah, this is the other thing, is that if I was going to do something like that, I think that I would have to utilize CLR, so that some parts of it were written in C++ that really need to be memory efficient, and other parts aren't. So then you're talking about writing a DOM in C++ to even make the platform useful. Because if you don't, then you end up with the bridge problem, and you have to get the data twice, and right. So you would have to make a platform. It's just I don't know. Or we're not to that point. I think that for me to do that, I would have to not have a day job. Well, click the like button and subscribe. If the channel had, I think that if the channel had 10,000 subscribers,
Uzi
then we wouldn't
Knesset
have to
says
have a
it
day
sounds
job.
exhausting.
Yeah, it would be. At that point, I might as well start hiring people. Like, could. It'd be fun. But like that's where it's like, you know what? I don't think that I would be able to write a better DOM than Jigsaw. Might be able to equal it, but I wouldn't be able to write a better one.
Uzi Knesset
Why
says
put
your
all
head
that
would be a
effort in?
raisin in 6 months. Lol.
But so I guess what I really need to do is I need to convince Peter Davies that he's wrong about things, which might actually be harder than just writing your own platform.
Sunday Driver says you can get seriously cheap programmers on Upwork.com. I hire cheap Indian programmers all the time for little piddly things I need done.
Oh, You really want to trade a DOM that was written by a outsourced programmer? I don't know about that one. What was I doing?
Sunday driver says as long as they follow your instructions. Maybe. You'd have to test it.
Uzi Knesset says you want to trade a DOM that was written by the same guy who called you last week to tell you your social security number was frozen? Lol.
No, because the issue is that a lot of it comes down to like memory management, right? Like the thing that's complicated about this algorithm is that you have to use multiple maps. And so the way that you use the maps and the way that you how often you access items and all of this sort of stuff
Sunday
makes big
driver
differences.
says zooming. Later
Sunday. It's like really specific things. Okay, here's the open. It's not something that I would trust any programmer to do. I consider myself to be a fairly advanced and experienced programmer, and I'm not sure if I'm doing the most effective things in some instances yet. If it was C++, then I would start unraveling things, but okay, so that was a lot of interesting volume down there at 3211. We had a flurry of large orders step in there. Donald Trump has a white Make America Great Again hat. He's wearing the hat more often now. That's interesting. I'm looking at this image, the big shakeout. Launches liquidations, net aggregate. And they're showing that overall, not very many launches, and that overall there are less hedge funds out there. Why is that? I would have thought that some hedge funds would be very successful. Is it that the market is really just hard to trade, and for the same reasons that retail traders have been having difficulty making money are the same reasons why hedge funds have been having difficulty making money? I could have sworn I was like in the middle of doing something and then I'm going to put a speculative trade out in here. Well, they are selling below 11. They're going down, but it looks fairly pedestrian.
J Constant says hello, Bitcoin looks extremely bullish. I think a bull run is coming. I have no Bitcoin, shame on me.
Well, I figured, well, we were talking about it earlier today. It's definitely been a good run in Bitcoin, but Bitcoin itself still overvalued. So I've kind of been thinking, how do you go through with seasonality now? Like, because it tends to be the end of summer into October tends to be a really good time for cryptocurrencies. But I really don't think that Bitcoin can sustain through that. Maybe we'll have another big FOMO. Maybe we'll have another big retail FOMO. I don't know. If we have another big retail FOMO, then who knows what can happen. They are definitely trading the volume in here, man. This is where
J
our
Constant
inventory
says yes,
cost base
overvalued.
is.
That's what I am thinking for a couple years now, but it will not go down.
This is where having the inventory number, I think, would be useful to see who was taking more. It looks like it's more sellers. Well, let's try it right here. Oops. Like, how big of a difference is it? It's about 10,000 contracts difference since I opened. Well, let's reset it here. So you can kind of see the guy yanking the bid out whenever they come up there. That time they yanked an offer. So the fairly significant orders, though. Oh man, 3211. That's some big volume there. If balance sheet was the only tool used to keep policy neutral, an extra 12 trillion of quantitative easing could be required, says Deutsche Bank. Holy shit. So of course Zero Hedge says buy gold. The Zero Hedge actively shills the gold, man. Like they'll post like straight up conspiracy theory bullshit to pump gold. Lots of people, and then the market here talking about gold as well. That's funny. I don't know. It seems just so quiet now, doesn't it? That was a good almost 10,000 contracts from the open trying to sell, and it barely goes 5 points. That's kind of why I'm taking it. And I think that the fundamental picture is positive. Like you got a stimulus bill coming out today, and seeing a couple of upbeat sounding things, and the dollar is getting creamed, which is generally good for equities For now, I'd say it's still good for equities. I have a hard time like seeing the really aggressive sell. Not that it couldn't make it back to say 3,200, but yeah. We got an okay spot too on it, so. Well, there's a little bit more of a sell.
Vlad Stolyarov says AAPLAMZN kinda high gappers.
Okay, so they're saying that security advisor O'Brien did, the White House is confirming that he had the virus, but they're saying that there was no risk of Donald Trump or anybody else important getting infected. So Donald Trump still doesn't have it, apparently. And as soon as I heard that, like, finished through, probably must have come through on other squawks because you saw a couple of buys there. So we may be about to run into Stop City.
Vlad Stolyarov says NQ volumes and running so far. J. Constant says AAPLAMZNFB Microsoft has a value over 4 trillion. I don't like that those companies have so much power.
Me neither. You know, one of the things that disappoints me, I was thinking yesterday, and I don't know why this was on my mind, but I remember the Dig days. Did you guys ever use Dig? Well, the cool thing about Dig as compared to Reddit, which is its closest analog, was that Reddit had this really great algorithm about what made it to the front page. So you had to have a broad coalition of users upvote something, and the wider the diversity in the users that upvoted it, the easier it was for it to make it to the front page. So you saw really cool stuff. And one of the problems that Dig had was that a lot of corporate websites didn't do as well on Dig, and they wanted to improve, and so they started to make all of these features specifically for big websites, and that was kind of where Dig started to go downhill. But then when I look at Reddit today, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I don't really visit a whole lot of really independent sites anymore. I don't run into new, odd, and quirky things. Like the amount of diversity on Reddit is just nowhere even close to what it was on Reddit, and it really turned into exactly what everybody was afraid of, which was corporate media, large tech companies having almost complete control over what you see. And it was just really disappointing because the web 2.0 was so exciting, and the internet lately, especially the last 6 months. I mean, the internet is interesting because of all of the drama that's been happening, but in terms of like good new content, it's just not there anymore. It's just boring now. Come on, stop. Everybody.
RJ Wheels says the censorship is frightening.
It is. And on things that you really wouldn't even think that would be censored, but it's just, well, and the thing that I find disturbing about it is that I don't think that it's like some large-scale intentional decision by Google to censor certain things so much as it is decisions by key employees within Google to censor certain things and the company going along with it. So, you know what I mean? So the reality is that
Jay Constant says I didn't even know that WhatsApp is from Facebook.
Oh, you didn't? But the issue is that you have these users with or employees with a huge amount of power and zero accountability, right? Because we can complain that Facebook is doing stuff, and then the Facebook CEO goes to Congress and we say we don't have any policy, blah 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 blah. We don't have a blacklist, and then you turn out, oh, actually, we do have a blacklist, and there's like one employee that can add stuff to it at will. Disturbing stuff, for sure. And the other disturbing one is that Reddit has become so different from what it was intended to be.
Uzi Knesset says some pink hair at Twitter has the ability to trigger World War III lol.
Like, I don't think that the original founder would be okay with the way that they've been shutting down subreddits and stuff. He was always like, complete free speech, no matter how disturbing it is, as long as it's not against the law. That was one of the things that attracted people to Reddit in the first place, was that they could get content that you couldn't get anywhere else because it was too difficult to host it. You weren't going to create a website for this kind of random, bizarre stuff. Like, oh man, I can't even remember the subs. There's some really not safe for work subreddits that were like just really bizarre stuff. Well, like maybe a more safe for work version would be birds with arms. Like, who's going to make a website just to post pictures of birds with arms? But on Reddit, you can have birds with arms. That's the kind of weird stuff that people were going for. But a lot of it was stuff that was politically incorrect too. And now they got rid of that. Yeah. Okay, well, they're there at the open. They've kind of been chilling there for a while. Seems like that they'll probably try and make another push, but you didn't get the stops like you would want. I'm okay with where my position ends up being. I think I just have to let it play out. Okay. So a little bit of clicking there. Looks like they're punching through. So I'm going to take one contract here, I think. Cool. I don't know if they're going to break the overnight high. If they do, then I can start looking at my VIX targets. VIX's volatility looks much subdued today, doesn't it? Actually, about where it opened. Interesting. So where does that put the upside? It would be, wow, 32.43. It's doable.
Vlad Stolyarov says gold is still upticking lol.
I bet. You want me to open that one? There you go. There's the Dom in gold. Look at him push. Some more. There's definitely some curious large orders taking some very specific spots. A couple of them apparently bought 32.19. Also, just see the volume trading it a lot, but that might just be that liquidity is a lot better, you know. Might also, am I getting double data or something? Let's just close this workspace just to be sure. So I'm getting like 3,000 trading into 32.20, which is a lot. Well, I'm seeing like single updates, so maybe it's no big deal. $32.20. That's a lot of volume at $32.20. How much more do you think they'll trade there? And the size of some of the orders coming through too are large as well. Like, look, some of these are trading like 200s. Huh. Yeah, the treasuries are taking a hit there now off of that one as well. So now the treasury is back to the middle. You think that they'll test the other side? I think that with the way that the E-mini is ticking, that's a possibility in the E-mini.
J. Constant says wow, silver up big time.
Yeah. The gold and silver have just been cray-cray. So there's 32.22. I don't know, guys. This is looking like pretty steady buy the dip kind of action. Looks like just your standard. They're going to go up there and bust right through 32.24 type of stuff. And like once again, the trajectory of the long is just unnatural. It's just
J.
going
Constant says
straight
I look at
up.
Euro silver. J. Constant says the dip was €378 per kilo and now €666 for 1 kilo.
Euro silver? Kilo. Well, silver is, yeah, this is a different story, right? remember that the supply and demand in silver is very different. You'll have a lot of retail guys FOMO into silver because they're afraid of missing gold and using it as a proxy for gold. But I think in this situation that you just want to be in gold, right? Now, are we seeing the dollar index continuing to fall?
J Constant says we go per gram or kilo here in Europe.
Yeah, look at this. This uptrend is unnatural. So there's the overnight high they just broke.
Vlad Stolyarov says hey look AMD has gone back to lows at least on bright side.
Well, with the way that I'm seeing this, I think that it's could be likely to go to 32.30, but I'm going to probably try and play this based off of the time of day. So we have still got some time left for this to continue moving up.
Vlad Stolyarov says 3,227 plus S kinda my bull case pivotal.
Why 27? Well, they did back off there a little bit, but I should also point out that so far, I think that
Vlad
you're
Stolyarov
just
says it's
squeezing
more
out
than
shorts.
24.
So far, it looks like they're just squeezing out shorts. So I don't know if. Oh, look, there's the Treasury's taking another tick down. So it does look like they're going to try and push down through the other side. How far do you think they could go? Ooh, this gets interesting. How about 18? 18. Oh, you could take that. We could take that. Let's try it. Hard time keeping my eyes focused again. Am I that sleepy? Look, 20. It's not. Doesn't look like it's even going to give it a chance.
Vlad Stolyarov says AAPL basically correcting the move down that was overdone past few days.
Oh, you think so? That could be. Although when I look at the cumulative delta, it looks like all of the guys that sold on the open got washed out. Like now the cumulative delta has equalized. Now, one thing I should keep pointing out is that in the treasury, yeah, we're not going to catch that. The inventory, by my chart, is decreasing. The inventory short is decreasing. And the spread is narrowing. So it doesn't look like the treasuries are anticipating it continuing to flush through. I bet you, though, they're going to get to 18 and maybe they turn there. Okay, so it is now the top of the hour.
Vlad Stolyarov says it's gonna get silly now on S if it goes parabolic.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if what we're doing right now I can really consider parabolic per se, but it looks bullish. You know, a lot of the sell-off last week was because of this whole stimulus bill. And I mean, we took some pretty big hits last week.
Sunday Driver says all I have is a band of gold.
Vlad Stolyarov says it's trying to take profits here maybe.
So a strong move up to say 43, which is the first fixed target, would be totally normal. Would be totally normal. I think today's headline is markets open strong on Republican stimulus bill helps. It's not a very interesting title. What do you think we should title today's video, guys?
KR says market opens strongly on Baby Yoda stock predictions. Vlad Stolyarov says title today video by the dip on Friday, sell on Monday, rip.
Right. I mean, it wasn't that bad on Friday, though. I guess it was the low, but I felt like that Friday kind of ended with a yelp, which kind of made me think, okay, so either they're going to come back in again next week and they're really, really going to sell it, or that move is played out. there's like a click.
Vlad Stolyarov
every
says I
step
like
up.
how machines knew when to take profits.
Do they know when to take profits? Nobody knows exactly when. That's one of the most difficult things.
Vlad Stolyarov says I called it 3,227.
Oh, you think that's
Vlad
going to be the
Stolyarov
high,
says
huh?
they must have heard me.
Yeah, they must have heard you. They could still have more in them. Let's give it another 5-10 minutes, huh? Wouldn't be surprised to see another flush up. Well, the Treasury's touched 19. I don't know if they're going to make it to 18. Can definitely see the potential for it, though. Feels sleepy. I didn't sleep very well last night. I got to bed at a good time, but I didn't fall asleep for a long time. My mind was just overly active. Oh, by the way, you know what? We posted a video. Let's do a little posting around about our video. I need to get more pictures for video thumbnails. Okay, guys. So here is hit the thumbs down button.
Sunday Driver says reminder, everyone hit the thumbs down button.
There's the video.
Speculator Seth Day Trading says.
Let's go post it on Reddit. Advice apply post.
Vlad Stolyarov says BA looking more bearish on daily. Vlad Stolyarov says AAPL at VWAP.
Sunday Driver says is AAPL having trouble with bringing new iPhones to market. Google is having a heck of a time with their Pixel 4a. The 4a has
You
been
think
pushed
so?
back several months.
Oh, really? A little bit of clicking there at 3224. Still got a good 5 minutes here. But I am thinking that this is going to have to be around where we take it. So I don't know if we're actually going to get that last little, you know, uh, finale. You know what I mean? Just looks like a solid. They've come up and they're pretty happy about it. And now I'm going to leave that out there. Okay. Cool.
Vlad Stolyarov says watching if NQ fails to rally now.
Cool.
Uzi Knesset says what do you think it means when the buyer or seller doesn't increase or decrease their position for like 8 hours?
I don't know. Right, that's happened in some places, hasn't it? Because I think that it just means that, oh, actually, I don't. I think that probably part of what it means is that we're moving in a certain direction, right? So you get one of those
Uzi
things
Knesset
where,
says in ZB, seller was flat for a very long time.
yeah, that might be caused just by that the orders that are happening now are above or
Vlad
below the
Stolyarov
cost
says looks like
basis.
chop starting NQ.
So it doesn't end up changing the cost basis because it doesn't give you any additional orders to match up. Right? Does that make sense? It's kind of interesting, though, isn't it? Because it's surely volume happened there at those prices on both sides. It just doesn't end up making a difference to the cost basis because you can't match it with any volume, or whatever volume you do get in there just gets matched right away. So it could mean that he's taking profits there in that spot, but you know, he's just taking one tickers or something like that.
Uzi Knesset says, oh, I'm talking about their positioning portion of the indicator. I have that up on ZB still.
No, that's what I mean. Like, I'll move it over here. So like here, you can see that the buyer inventory through this entire area didn't change. So the buyers bought a certain amount, and there was certainly volume going back and forth, but whatever volume they were taking, they were like either scratching or taking one tick winners on it. And so in the end, it didn't end up having any appreciable impact on the inventory until here when it started rising, which is kind
Vlad
of
Stolyarov
curious.
says AMZN no good. Vlad Stolyarov says reject VWAP.
So it could be an indication about when they're ready to move, but you can see that but then here again, the buyer cost basis hasn't improved. And as it's happened, they're moving down. So that means that the buyers were getting pummeled and weren't adding more contracts on it, I think. And so when it moves down like that, the number of orders that you end up being able to match doesn't improve because you have to start from a spot lower again. And you're getting a lot of sell orders into it as well. So you have all of these sell orders that you can't match up. And then it ends up doing that. I think that's what that is doing.
Uzi Knesset says, I see.
So I think this is where I say that stops would make a big difference, right? If I came in and I said, okay, when I see a sell stop below where we had, so you work your way up and you do all of the buys, you match all of the good orders that they took, but then you go from the top down and you go, where are the stops, and match up all of the bad orders that they took. And then you use that as your inventory instead. And I think you would get a more accurate number. And that's just a situation where you can see that it wasn't super accurate. By the way, I'm not centered in my picture frame today. I don't know how I feel about that. And I can't explain why. Oh, actually, I think I can. I think that it's not on the thing correctly. Yeah. That's probably a little better. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that I should go and take a break and get some water. All right, guys? Oops. Let me minimize that back down. All right. I will be right back.
Juven's Soccer says hi.
Okay, let's see here. Oh, we do have manufacturing data at the bottom of the hour. I did not realize. Juven's Soccer, how are you doing? Welcome back. Oh, I can hear the baby talking. So mom is probably fed up with him again. Oh, man.
Juven's Soccer says good paper. I'm paper trading micro e-mini SP.
Okay. So did you take it long?
Sunday Driver says is the baby eating hamburger and french fries yet?
He's eating food. You know, mostly liquid stuff, but he is eating food. And he takes anything you give him. Of course, some things are a little, even though they're safe for him to eat, they'll get caught in the back of his throat or whatever, and he doesn't like it, but he'll eat whatever. Okay, so that was interesting. So the E-mini definitely took a turn there. So as I was saying before, we've entered the counter trend time period. So this was a place where we wanted to get out before all of that, because sometimes you can get a counter trend and sometimes you can just kind of get difficult action, and I don't necessarily want to mess with that. I don't feel like that the up move completed, like normally there's like a really good like stop run and all the it never really did that, did it? So it wouldn't be crazy for them to go and break the high again. Actually, look at that. Look at how quickly they recovered that. Well, if I zoom in here, where do we go? Oh, wow. We're really above. I'm getting Florida coronavirus numbers. I'm not going to go through them all because they're all just like a wash at this point. Live Squawk has a picture. How does that work? Open image, new tab. Oh, wow. They have it broken down by race and ethnicity, age groups. Fauci talking about Moderna. Donald Trump's tweeting a bunch of stuff this morning, too. Just retweeting. Did you guys see the interview with Donald Trump and David Portnoy? Made me so green.
Juven's Soccer says what time frames do you use for your charts?
All the time frames, events. So I specifically...
RJ Wheel says 14 Markins test positive. Home opener postponed. I think baseball is in trouble.
So, Whovents, I have a video that I posted last week, I think, called about multiple time frames, and I talk about some of the tools that I have that show you what is happening on multiple time frames. But basically, I have my charts set up so that I can very, very at a quick glance tell where we are on different time frames. So I try and look at all the time frames. And I also at some point we're going to have to do it with the inventory cost basis because you can definitely find points on different time frames as well, but I digress.
RJ Wheel says Marlins. Grr.
Yeah.
Uzi Knesset says did Portnoy finally lose all his money on stock picks from a Scrabble bag?
I don't know. I don't know what happened with it. I bet you're probably up on them all. He did a pretty good interview. I thought it was a good interview with the president. I mean, there wasn't like anything like super insightful from it, but it looks like they had fun and you got a good look from, David Portnoy wasn't trying to catch him, and so Donald Trump got the opportunity to really express
Uzi
himself
Knesset
and the
says
way
he
he
was
feels
stonk
about
God
things.
for like 10 minutes lol.
And yeah, so apparently
Sunday Driver says anyone know where you can do sports gambling in the USA online?
I don't know, but I bet David Portnoy knows. Anyways, so the thing that was interesting was that it sounded like that the reason that David Portnoy was able to get that interview was because Donald Trump's son likes him. Donald Trump's son likes David Portnoy and kind of gave in the good word, and that's how I think how he was able to get like a private interview outside of the Oval Office. This is like a big deal. I don't think that I would be able to give a very good interview to Donald Trump. I don't think that I would, you know, but man, that would be an awesome opportunity. It's a little frustrating to be like, you spend all your time being really serious about the markets, trying to give people like reasoned advice about trading markets and trading the most advanced stuff and programming and years and all this work. And then this guy, basically just gambling, comes along and becomes super famous off of it. It's just crazy to me.
RJ Wheels says he got Trump to admit some of his late night tweets were regrettable. RJ Wheels says none of the network heavies could do that.
Absolutely. It was like a real personal interview, wasn't it? He did a good job. He was able to do an interview that I don't think anybody would be able to come close to. Maybe Joe Rogan, but still. Okay, White House and GOP agree to unemployment insurance transition. So that must be a reference to the unemployment will be extended, but you'll only be able to get 75% or something like that. Donald Trump retweeting Texas has a decline in new cases as well, and hospitals' ICUs are at 87% of capacity. Like Florida, things look better. Obviously, there are still a few hospitals at capacity, but even there, things are looking better. Yes. Well, here's the issue that you can have is we had a wave hit those couple of states. There are still some major metropolitan areas in the United States that haven't been hit yet. And you're also going to have Europe. Europe is the one that I think you should really be concerned about because they're starting to see some signs like things are breaking out in Spain, and I think that it's likely to sweep across the whole continent again. And most of those major metropolitan areas in Europe never got hit. So that's where I would be concerned about the coronavirus thing going on next. Now, the good news is that when that happened in the United States, even though it did cause some down days in the E-mini, we held it well. And so maybe we can do that in Europe as well. Although then again, there's the next thing, which is like maybe it sweeps through China again too. So because China hasn't been completely hit either. Okay, so we got this Dallas Fed manufacturing number coming up here. It's not a significant number, but I do see, well, maybe a little bit of pulling, but not really. So let's just see what this number comes out at first. I think, like I made a good trade. I probably can just stop for the day. Wouldn't be surprised if the E-mini is able to touch that 18, though. Sorry, the 10-year, if they could touch 18 in the 10-year. Okay, so here comes the number. Moderna on track to make 500 million vaccine doses in 2021. Wow. Wow. I'm not getting the number yet. Should be out. Still waiting on the number. Okay, here it come in. It's -3.0 versus a previous of -6.1. I don't know if I think that they could still touch that 18. So now Uzi on the 10-year, I don't know what it looks like in the 30 because I have it up on the 30, but I'm noticing that on the move down, the sellers did not make profits. And then they decreased inventory and something. I must have a bug. That can't be right? It just seems too weird. Let's come and take a look. Maybe I've got something wrong in here.
Uzi Knesset says sellers increased their position on the way down in ZB.
Sellers increased their position on the way down in ZB, huh? Oh, okay. Well, let me just try looking at
Uzi
the code
Knesset
and
says they're
seeing
still
if I
increasing.
find any. See if I find anything that doesn't match up with. I'll look at the stuff that will be related to. Really, it's going to be the inventory. So on the cost basis short. So there's a long. On short, it's going to be. Okay. And the difference between these two. Oh, now that's interesting. So the inventory number, the way that I calculate inventory, should be reliable. It should be reliable. It's a link query. So it must be correct. So when they moved down in the 10-year, they took. But why are they, if they're taking profits down here, why isn't the profits number going up for them? That number might be wrong. The sell side profits number might be wrong. I can debug it and look at what it says at that time. So that just seems not correct. Is it giving me, and how is it giving negative numbers, Yeah, I don't know. Can look at that and maybe I have a bug in there. Maybe it's adding negative volume at times. Could also just be spreading activity might explain it too. What I do see is that when with the spread narrowed on the way down, but now it has widened a little bit again, and that coincided with the
Juven
inventory
Soccer says
decreasing and then
SNP a
adding.
mini consolidation.
Well, we haven't quite come out of the reversal time period. We still got another 10 minutes. So when we come out of the 10 minutes, then maybe they'll try and make another push up. At this point, I'm really unsure. I'd say that they handled the counter trend period pretty well. So, I mean, they didn't sell at all that in the recent history, from what I can remember, whenever we've done that, we've come out to the other side, but that doesn't really mean anything, that does it? I do see, one of the things that I do see is that we are a little high. Like, it would be a lot more. Hold on, Fauci's talking. I'm sure that Moderna must be doing okay right now. By the way, how's Tesla doing today? I bet you that they're probably doing okay now, huh? Oh, I don't want to pull it up. Okay, I'm going to pull it up. No, we'll see. I bet you they're higher than they were on Friday, though. I bet you that all those options coming off and probably a lot of the negative bets are gone. Yeah. Move it out to 5 minutes. Yep, they are higher. Still in the money, but the options expired. I think that the options expired with positive, so I did get a profit, but it was like was not as much as compared to like if I had just taken the first profit off of it. And the VIX moving back down, but the VIX is still not much lower than it was like on Thursday. That's interesting as well. Like, we're getting like this positive sentiment retrace, but the market is kind of acting like that they really don't want to buy it. You know what I mean? Like, they try, like just as an example, on the open, they all tried selling it at first, right? They tried selling it at first, and then somebody loaded up against it, and then stopped everybody out higher. Who knows who it was absorbing down there, but the futures kind of tried to push against it. Bum, 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 ba-dum. Okay, there is. Now that no. So we're not quite out of the counter trend period yet, but they're moving anyways, and they're going to come up to that 30 spot, I'm sure. So again, a 30 is a pivot, which doesn't really mean anything other than that a lot of retail traders will try and take profits there. So I still see my VIX target up in the 40 area. So I need to go and post this on the subreddit as well. I forgot about that. I got too much going on right now, guys. It's hard to keep up with. I got these videos, and I've got like 3 videos that I need to make, and I'm making this indicator, and we've got this survey going on. Hopefully this did okay. Now it's doing okay. I'm sure that this probably not do so well. The subreddit post probably won't do super crazy until the close, right? So most of those guys, I don't think that they really browse until after the close. So I think they will post the survey around the close. Post the Reddit link so that you guys will go in there and check that. Okay. So there's a Fitch rating article about the impact on GDP the coronavirus will have. Forex Live is trying to play up the coronavirus. Florida coronavirus cases moderate, but median age climbs. Cool, nobody cares. The numbers are good. That's all we care about. Well, we had that move up, but it didn't actually. There was a move up in the middle of the counter trend time period that was about the same. In fact, the way that it happened there, a lot of people will probably try and call it a double top, although I don't think I would say it is. And I don't care, but growth is projected to average just over 2% from 2023 to 2025. Well, that would suck. I'd like to see 3 or 4% growth. If we could get a 5% number, oh, that'd be so cool. Like over a year. Maybe it'll never happen. You'd have to have a pretty big change in the monetary system, I think, now at this point to make it happen. I don't know why their financial juice is pushing this Fitch story. I mean, I would consider it to be significant research, but I could read the article myself. There will be lasting damage to the supply side productive potential from the coronavirus shock as long term unemployment rises, working hours fall, and investment in capital accumulation fall. It just reminds me of the stuff that we have going on with my wife's job. She is a flight attendant, and right now she's um, on temporary, on voluntary leave. So she's been getting unemployment, and I guess she'll continue to get unemployment. But the company isn't even like saying like how many people they expect to lay off or anything like that. They're a small line, and they tend to get a lot of contracts from the main lines. The main lines have done this sort of stuff, so you would think that they would have the information to be able to make those determinations now, but they're not saying anything. And I'm afraid that what's going to happen is they're just going to lay off a ton of people without, there's not going to be any warning at all. And then, if she does keep her job, she might not have as much seniority as she did. So she might not be able to really work um, just because she won't be able to get the times that she needs to be able to still come home and be with the baby. I told her, well, have you looked at other jobs, potential jobs? And she's like, no. I'm like, well, I would probably start doing that just in case, right? I don't know what would be a good transition for her to do. I guess she could try to work at another airline, or she could do stuff in hospitality, but I don't know. Lucky that it's been working out so well for us so far, though. Life Squawk, the bizarre math behind Tesla's valuation. Oh. Senate GOP plan has a 2-month unemployment insurance transition to 70% wage replacement with a $200 week payments. States can apply for a waiver for up to 2 additional months if implementation a problem, say sources. That is important. That is important. I don't know if it means anything for us in the long run, but I'll put it here in news.
PRT1 says my wife runs dance studio full stop during her big earning months. She got $4,000 and now on her own in Canada.
Really? Well, and the other thing is that this next one is going to give us like payments and stuff. I guess probably I can just save it, and if she really isn't, if she gets laid off or just isn't able to work for whatever reason, we'll probably be fine. But I should probably be more concerned about, getting all of the resources to do all of the other really cool things that we want to be able to do over here, right? So I'm hoping I should post you guys this video again. Here's my video for today. Has a lot of good information in it, especially for newer traders. If you guys could go and give that a watch the whole thing, give it a like and leave a comment. We're looking so the
Speculator Seth
discussion
Day
I want
Trading
to see.
says.
Discussion we're looking to
PRT1 says buy some gold.
Buy some gold. Yeah, that's what I should do. But the discussion that we're looking to have on that video is like, what was your most memorable volatile market? Because there's always that one where you just caught some freak move by chance. Those are fun. So leave a comment. Tell us your story. And yeah, that video is an important video to the channel. So, and it's kind of like a payback to you guys for getting us to 3,000 subscribers. And we're already to 3,050, which I was like, what? We're getting like 50 to 100 new subscribers a week? Like, that's insane. It's really does pick up quickly, doesn't it? Anyways. What else was I going to say about that? Oh, yeah, you know what? I should come in. I should leave a comment on it. Leave a little comment here, and I will pin that one. Give it a like. Try and get some back and forth going on that one. There we go. Well, we had the 8:30 news. We had the counter trend period ended. I really don't see a reason why we couldn't continue up into the 30 and then 40 area, but things look pretty dead now. I mean, really, really quieted down. So, don't know what to make of that. I guess we're just like really in summer action again, because it just seems so quiet. Let's tweet about that. It really is quiet summer action. I think we're lucky that we caught a good trade like that, because you could be taking a trade in here and trying to be in a position and just be going nowhere and be really frustrated, By the way, I'm noticing that the spread continued to widen out in the 10-year Treasury, which is a little interesting. I do see, though, that in the ZD,
Sunday Driver says I advertised your channel on Xhamster. You are welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sunday. I appreciate it.
PRT1 says Globix has as much volume.
Yeah. Oh, like over the whole session? Really? Oh, that's surprising. Now, I should point out another thing that I'm noticing is that the bids in the 10-year are really thickening up. So they were not able to come even close. Well, I guess they did come close. They were within 1 tick of the 18. But now it's really thickening up as they
PRT1
trade back
says
up.
last night.
Yeah. So the treasuries seem to be reverting back. Be interested to see if we cross that line or not. The gap, rather. And I'm interested to see, since the gap has gotten wider, how it behaves. Overall, I still see like buyer making a lot of money and the seller not, which I just don't understand. Buyer making more money than the seller overall. That quiet summer action. What else can we talk about? Oh, you know what we haven't talked about? You know what we need to talk about, guys? Is Austin. Oh man, oh man. I haven't really seen a whole lot about that, in fact, today. Shall we go and cruising around and seeing if there's any new information on Austin? So for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, there has been a death. There was a situation where a driver kind of drove really quickly. I think that he was trying to I don't know, he was in a rush and he kind of tried to get through a gap and he thought that he was going to be able to get through the protesters, but then he stopped.
PRT1 says powers.
Yeah. Why didn't it synthesize both of those? That's weird. Well, anyways, this guy got stuck in the traffic, and when he did that, the protesters thought that he was attacking them or whatever, so they're all attacking the car, and there's a guy that had been carrying his weapon around, an AK-47, and he walked up to the car, and I don't think that we really know the sequence of events yet, and I don't want to spread misinformation, but the long and short of it is that the driver of the car shot and killed the guy that was open carrying. Some say that the guy that was open carrying shot first, but man, I mean, you're being attacked. Your vehicle is being attacked, and there's a guy with an AK-47, and people have been shot at already. What are you gonna do, right? So, both, yeah, idiot. You say was, I mean, that it didn't seem to me that the guy that was open carrying was being too smart about it. Like, he was basically saying that it was like he was carrying it because they weren't just letting them walk in the streets. So he was like looking for that kind of a confrontation is what it seems like to me. And just hearing it, I don't know. He just, guys, if you are open carrying, don't approach a vehicle that is in distress. Like, come on. You would think that would be common sense. Frankly, you would think that it would be common sense to, run away from a car, not towards it. And the AK guy likely did not shoot at all. He was holding his rifle in the ready position. I'm not surprised he got shot. Yeah, all of the guys on the Donald were claiming that the AK guy shot first and probably to punch a tire. But now what they're saying is that the guy with the vehicle driver, he got out and shot, and that was like 5 shots. And then there was several shots after that from a guy that was a medic that shot afterwards when the guy drove off. Now that guy that was a medic that shot afterwards, he might get assault, because especially if the car is driving away. Like, yeah, that's bad. Whereas the driver of the car probably has a good case to claim that he was in fear of his life and could use deadly force. So we'll see how it goes down. This might be one where, like, I don't know. Let's see. Let's go around through the news. Oh, Antifa violence in Portland, that's a myth. Oh yeah, freaking Naylor. Screw that guy. The people trying to claim that Antifa doesn't really exist are really, like, it's just the height of gaslighting. Okay? There are organizations that exist throughout the United States that identify themselves as Antifa, and just trying to claim that is just a broad movement of people that don't like fascists is just absolutely ridiculous. It's just, you're straight up gaslighting people. Anyways, so I don't really see a whole lot about it on Hot Air. I bet you I'm not going to see anything about it on CNBC. It's clearly organized. Oh yeah, they are in contact with each other. Like, all of the events yesterday was like a coordinated thing. Here's the crazy thing. Is that somebody died at one of these protests. Like, literally somebody died. Where's the news story about it? I feel like that in my mind, this is just as significant, if not more significant, than when Heather Hoyer died. Why isn't it getting the kind of coverage than like when Heather Hoyer died? Well, I think maybe the media is intentionally suppressing it because they don't want people to get ideas. So maybe the media is trying to be responsible, but at the same time, it's kind of like, you just can't help but notice. You know what I mean? You just can't help but notice. Where was Portland in the first 2 weeks? Never on news. Now it's the epicenter. Oh yeah. Well, everybody was too interested in the chop, right? The moral of the story is don't run up to a car with an AK. The cop should probably have shot him as well. Well, I don't want to make too conclusive of a statement because we don't 100% know the sequence of events. We should probably wait for the police to say anything before we say it. You know, like some people are saying that the driver is a hero, and I'm not so sure that that's the case. He may have jumped the gun a little bit. No pun intended. Antifa is a globally organized terrorist group. Yes, but it's not a formally organized terrorist group, right? It's basically like a bunch of Facebook groups that kind of talk to each other in Slack rooms is really what it is. 11 a.m. Maybe they move somewhere in NQ. Well, they are moving down. I think that what you're going to see is people are going to adjust their positions in the next hour in anticipation of lunch because it's been so quiet. Now, we also get the London close at the bottom of the hour. That's another thing that kind of matters. No terrorist group is formally organized. Well, then that kind of comes down to what is a formal organization. I don't think that there's somebody that you can step in and say is the leader of Antifa, for instance, like you could with the Taliban, right? But to say that it's like not even a thing, like, is preposterous. Or to claim that it's just a broad movement and that it's just normal people just organically coming out is ridiculous. There are cells. There are absolutely cells. We know this. And we have a video from inside the cells where they have meetings and they talk about using violent tactics and what they're going to do. And we've had many instances where chapters have been infiltrated by law enforcement and taken down because they were planning on doing violent things. That happened here in Utah. So, yeah, for Nadler and these other Democrats to even attempt to push this gaslighting lie that Antifa doesn't actually exist is just horrifying that they even be trying to do this kind of stuff. But honestly, it feels like that they're just like gaslighting at every turn these days, you know? Like they're gonna turn around and pretend like these that the Austin shooting wasn't the only one that happened last night too, okay? There was another one in Aurora, Colorado where a family was in a car and they shot at a family in a car as they were trying to drive away. And then there was another one in I forget where the location was, but that one I've hardly seen anything about. And maybe part of this is that we don't really have a very good video of any of these incidents. Like the one for the Austin, the video is really crappy. It was a live stream, and you don't get a super clear picture, and it's too dark. But man, absolutely nothing out there about it. Three shootings like this, and is it on the news? I don't know. It's not like Reddit. So it's not on the CNBC front page anymore. Or Reddit. Let's check the Donald. I'm sure that the Donald is still talking about it. No, they're still talking about that account that they think that is Ghislaine Maxwell's account. That one's freaking hilarious. Yeah, they're actually not talking about it all that much either. I would really like to see an update on the situation, like if they have a sequence of events, or was there stuff that happened last night? I know that there was more rioting last night, but and there's a Breitbart article maybe worth reading. What their justification is for that, why the polls are bad. We need to go to an hourly time frame here. Should do a 1 million person march against these groups. I don't think that you're going to get 1 million conservatives to come out and do anything. Would be hypocritical at this point, frankly. What type of a CPU are you using? I'm using a Ryzen 1700X. I have an older one, but it handles it. I mean, I've never had problems with the software processing it. I do think I could use some more speed, but everything works great. And I actually have spare capacity, and I use that for my encoder instead of using the video card. Austin Police Department is lying. There were 3 guns fired. Okay, so they're arguing about that. But I don't know how you determine that. I mean, you should be able to look at the AK and determine if it was fired or not. Pretty simple, so. Or you'd be able to find shell casings. So. You're looking at the Ryzen 9, yeah. Well, so remember that the number in front of it, like the 3, 5, 7, and 9, have more to do with the number of cores than they do anything else. The thing that you want to look at is the number after that. So the number after that, you're going to get something like 3700X, okay? And the 3 means that it's the 3rd generation of Ryzen. So mine's a 1700X. That means that it's the 1st generation. And they go up to 900. So 900 is the top of the line one. So 1700 is kind of a step down. 3600 tends to be best bang for your buck, right? So if I was going to get a CPU right now, best bang for your buck, 3600X. The X means that you can overclock it. Aren't AKs illegal, or was it not a real... So, well, like a fully automatic AK is obviously illegal, but a modified AK that's just a semi-automatic is fine, and you can have them in the United States, yes. Yep, and I have a video about the trading computer hardware where I kind of mentioned that. The 3600 is my recommendation right now. I mean, you can spend more than that if you want to, and if I was going to spend more on a PC for a trading computer, it would be on the hard drive and the CPU. But that said, you're getting into like the 3900s. That's like super overkill, you know? You might not be able to use all that power most of the time. Unless you're going to backtest. Now, if you're going to backtest, I would really like to do some benchmarks and see how big of a difference it makes. Hey. That's another one where it's like, hey, you know what? If we had 10,000 subscribers, we could probably do that sort of stuff. That's okay. I'm sure it makes a difference, but one of the big bottlenecks is just going to be pulling down the data. Good run up in the mountains to boot. Oh, good job. Ace. Let's see here. What's this one? So someone decided to drive around the crowd of people and they swarmed the car. As we blocked the street. Yeah. This is as we blocked streets, certain drivers got annoyed and attempted to maneuver their way around us. Particularly, a white woman tried to cut through a gas station. Me and a couple of other protesters stood in front of her car and demanded she turn around. Instead, she steps away from the gas. Guys, run away from, not towards cars. Cars are big. They're stronger than you. You will lose a confrontation with the car. Don't risk it. Not worth it. Go the other way. Man alive. People are so stupid. Don't do this. I don't want any of you guys. I mean, I don't think that any of you guys would be out protesting anyways, but come on. I don't want anybody dying. More people than have. We don't need somebody to actually get straight up run over and you're shooting at people in cars. But so far, it doesn't look like they're all that interested in it. Has it become that normal now? That's a scary thought. Is it just become normalized? Did you see any St. Bernards needing rescue in the mountains? I watched a cute video where they rescued a rather char-gained St. Bernard from the top of a mountain. What? I think it's a little hot for them to be on the trails right now. My lab was stopping at all the small streams and wading in all day, I bet. Yeah, it's hot out there right now. It's probably pretty cool up in the mountains, but that's still like 80, 85, right? And it's been a dry year. Last year, it was pretty wet, wasn't it? This year, you know what? It hailed on, when was it? I don't remember if it was Thursday or Friday. We got hail. It must have been Wednesday or Thursday, actually. We got hail, but then it never really actually rained. And that has been like the most weather activity we've had in weeks. And whereas last year it was like, hey, we live in a tropical paradise now. So I kept saying, if global warming is going to turn Utah into a tropical paradise, I am all for it. I am all for it if Utah becomes a tropical paradise. It's hot here during the daytime on the Cumberland Plateau, but at night I can turn the air off and open the windows. I couldn't do that in Florida. Oh, I bet. Oh, you think you'd take it short? Well, you know what? I think that if we do go short, that 32.21 would be a good target. 32.21. So you'll probably go a little bit through that, but that is kind of where the buyer's cost basis is. So that's going to be the spot where if buyers still really feel like that they want this and they want to go higher, that's going to be the place where they try and decide to defend. Now, that said, I don't have any edge at the moment that makes me believe that we're more likely to move up than we are to move down. So I'm just kind of sitting here. I think, though, that Ace's trade could probably work out, especially given the setup and everything. Concrete floors super cool at night? How does that work? One of the things that drives me crazy is that my garage seems to retain the heat. I don't know what I've got to do for my garage to make it cooler in there. Insulate it better or something? I don't know. I think I need to make a bunch of changes to my garage because I think my wife is going to want to be doing more projects out there. And so we're going to have to give her some room to work in where she doesn't have to pull the cars out. Well, there's a pretty good move right there. Did they hit his... Oh, yeah, you did. They hit the 25 and it went. Install a vented roof fan? I have a bunch of fans inside. I need to get a bigger fan. So one of the problems that I have, like like I was saying, is that we've got like these big shelves, and that's where all of our storage is. But the garage itself is actually really high. So I think what I could do is I could build some storage in the ceiling. Like I could create things where you use a rope to pull it up and down. Yeah, you already got the 2 points, and you got the 22, right? Oh no, wait, it's not 21. It's 2150, but we haven't quite got that. That's where I would be. That's where I would be sitting with my order. My new computer's up and running, but I thought the sound was really bad. Turns out there were stickies over the speakers. Only took me 3 days to notice. That's funny. Have you ever had one of those things where like the little film that they put on the screen is 2150? Good job. Yeah, I don't know. I normally, well, like 6 months ago, I would have taken that one, but I've kind of become wary about it because it's failed on me too many times. It still seems like a pretty effective edge. No, but anyways, where you put on the screen. Bleh, my mind is going to mush all of a sudden. We do have some auctions at the bottom of the hour, and then we got 5 and 2 year note auctions in 2 hours. What are you talking about? You never take any my trades? No. There was that time period during September where I was trading it live, and I made like $600 with the micro contract. Just $10 at a time. A good 50 trades or so of profit. It worked well. And then the Brexit came along and ruined it. No. I started losing a lot with it. When it was the hold on, the Squawk is saying stuff. He's just talking coronavirus numbers. Brexit, schmexit. And that's what I thought. But man, it did so poorly for me during that time period. It was all trade selection, but there's things I would do differently. We could go back and trade Brexit. And then it was again during the coronavirus thing. I wasn't actively trading it during the coronavirus downturn, but during the coronavirus downturn, I still watched it, and I was like, well, this is not a good time for me to be trading. And that was then when I went through an investigation of a whole slew of things that people were showing me in the E-mini. And even though I don't think that there's any predictive edge in any of those, well, really any technical indicator, I still learned some interesting things about the way that the E-mini moves. And then we came back and we just started trading pure news, and we were doing pretty good with that. And now we've included this inventory cost basis thing, and it's like we can't lose. We've done really well with the inventory cost basis. Speaking of $600, do you think they will extend the unemployment insurance checks? My son can't go back to work yet and has his fingers crossed. So the news this morning, Winston, is that they're going to extend the unemployment checks. You're going to be getting a $200 check up to 75% of your regular salary. So it won't be as high as it was before, but you will still get money, but it will be 75%. So they're trying to create an incentive for people to go back to work. And yeah. And then going back to now, I have not been trading live because it's the summer. Maybe in September and after that, and especially beginning of next year, maybe we take some more active trades. I don't know how they can't. People need that. Well, yeah. But don't you think it's kind of a problem that people need that? Like, the question is, how do you get to the spot where people don't need that anymore? I wish you would let us teach you how to trade. So you could teach him how to trade so he would never have to work again. There you go. I don't know about that one. People live okay on $9 an hour. Hey, that's only 2 points on the E-mini. There you go. In an hour. Wow. Size up and then do more. It's just money they can print more. Well, if that's the case, why don't you just go long? I took the long when I saw the absorption down at the lows, and woo, that was a good trade. I didn't hold it all the way. I think I held it to 27. So there was another point in it. But now, do you see there? They're kind of holding and bouncing exactly where I said. I tell you what. I know more coronavirus numbers. I don't care. Florida numbers. I tell you what, like when you look at an indicator and yeah, you can say, oh, it looks like that, if I do a long enough back test, I can see periods where it works and where it doesn't work. And you can see what the average win rate of it is and things like that. But then I come and I look at this thing and I literally don't think there's been a single time when I have called that number out and it didn't matter. Now, I can't necessarily tell you if it's going to go through it or continue, but it always reacts here. Always. I shouldn't say always, but so far it has. I think that there is a substantial amount of evidence that there really is some edge in this cost basis thing. I'm surprised. I was trying to, partner with some guys because I don't know. I don't necessarily want to stay an indie trader forever. But I think that there's too many issues. Like, how do you convince them that it's really that amazing and then you show it to them and, all that sort of thing. Probably just going to have to go on my own and put it out. And I would like to make it available to you guys, but it's been a lot of work. So we are going to have to charge for it. But what do you use to convince people? Because to me, I'm so absolutely convinced at this moment in time. It's been so reliable for me. I bet you that when we enter into a more volatile trending market, that it won't be as useful. But right now in this summer chop quiet action, it is like, did I ever? I was so dumb to ever try trading with anything else because I feel like that this is so much edge that I feel foolish about how clueless I was. You know what I mean? Maybe that ends up being like drastically wrong and I changed my opinion again in 6 months, but that's how I feel right now. I agree. I want to trade. I feel safe with trading with you and speculative stuff. It's markets for the next year or two that I do not trust. But that's the thing. Well, go and have you watched my video today yet, Win? Because that's exactly what we're talking about. Huh? There are some things about these markets that are very advantageous to you. And when you add the Federal Reserve on top of it, where all you have to do is just buy. I mean, come on. You don't have to trust the markets. You just pull out your money. Who cares? That is what it is doing. Yeah. Been craving some lobster lately. I know, and I am tasting of wood safe, of course. Yeah. Well, the thing is that you want to start trading at Syntho, right? You want to start building up that screen time. Okay, because that matters. Ace has a lot of screen time, and there's something about his trade selection that's really, really effective, right? Because during the time period that I was trading that and I did poorly, he was trading the exact same thing and he did way better. And when I would ask him which ones he took and stuff, it was always just like he took this one before me that I missed. And then he just stayed in that one. So when the next one came along that I took, didn't matter. He was still in a position, and he knows where to take the profits off, which was also really interesting. But I digress. There's more to his strategy than I think he realizes. Bell in Hand is the best lobster restaurant in Boston. The one with Warren Buffett's volatility quote. Oh, well, the one where you were talking about Warren Buffett, yes. The one that's trading fast markets. Yeah, because maybe I could have been a little bit more detailed, but I didn't want to get too deep into the minutia about it because I thought that this was kind of more of a geared towards beginning traders. But the gist of it is that when you have some of these fast markets, if you are on your game and you're informed and you understand your product, then you have a big advantage over other traders that don't really understand what your product's tendencies are and what the fundamentals are and which direction it's moving. So that's a place where you can gain some edge. And then if the liquidity pulls out, then you don't have to compete with the robots. And there's definitely some issues with low liquidity environments too. But I think for a retail trader, not having to trade against the robots is a big plus. So trading some of these crazy markets, like we're likely to continue to get, and that is kind of scaring you, I think are just good trading opportunities. What you don't want is the markets like today, where for probably 90% of the day so far is just gone sideways, and it is so incredibly quiet. So incredibly quiet. Boston is one of my favorite cities. I would love to go have lobster in Boston. Usually on New Year's, we would order lobster to go buy it over in Tampa at Lobster Town. My lobster pot is well worn. Huh? Well, I've never been to Boston. Boston kind of scares me. That's like a super liberal country, you know? I think it's neat with the inventory indicator on this big volume push up in ZB. The buyer is selling into it, decreasing their position. Yeah. Well, that's exactly where it's like, you've always had these situations where like we're having a move up and I see some I see some absorption against it and I think, okay, so are people taking profits there? But then it's like they're only doing it in one spot. And how do you really tell if overall net they decrease their positions or what was happening? And now with the inventory indicator, we can see that. You understand? All of this theory that we've been taught through order flow is missing important components for you to actually be able to really truly tell what is going on. Like all of the theory about the auction theory and the way that people's positions and they trade and everything, it backs up everything that you see. It's just that once you see it with the inventory indicator, it's like you can actually truly see it and you realize how much we were missing before. I am flabbergasted that this isn't a thing. Well, I mean, it is a thing. I don't know where Hyperscalper got it from. He must have gotten it from a bank or something. Like we might have something here that we really shouldn't have. This is what I'm gonna say. But hey. And I'm glad that it's working good for you. So I need to figure out what the problem is with the E-mini. It might have just been a fluke, because when it's coming through, it's not putting any volume in. So tick replay was broken for the E-mini on that one. I think I need to close down my workspace, open up a new chart, see if I can get it to work on my E-mini chart then. I mean, I had a piece of it in my head based on the stacking on the ladder in my huge demo account. Right. Yeah. But it was always you couldn't tell degrees, right? You could see that they took a little bit of profit, but was the amount that they actually took significant compared to all of the people buying up through it? And now you can know. Well, it's 9:30. Is inventory indicator available? Not yet. Having thought about it over the weekend and doing a couple of other things, though, my intention is to sell it. So that's what I'm going to do. But we got to work all these kinks out of it first. So. Okay. We're having a good conversation here, guys, but I think it's time for me to go. So, Discord is cool. There's some channels in Discord that are just the fun channels where you can kind of chit chat about that sort of stuff if you want. off topic, that's where I would take it. Discord is great because that's always live when we're not. And again, before I go, I want to just leave you with the link here. Here's the YouTube video. So that's our video for the week. It's about trading fast markets. If you guys all could give that video a full watch, give it a like, and then leave a comment about what was your favorite volatile market. Tell us some stories. And there's also Reddit. And if you haven't taken the survey, you should take the survey. So I will see you guys tomorrow. And in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.